You just been to Tesco's?
Yeah, well, we had to get some stuff, actual essential stuff, and I thought I was there early enough. I was queued for 40 minutes to get in. They got this one in, one out system, which, to be honest, is fair enough.
Obviously, last week's show went out. We were sat in the comfy of the Bishops, and all was good, although a little bit of worry what was to come ahead, but now things seem to have taken a turn for the worse.
Oh, 100%, and things have escalated, it seems like tenfold in a week, you know. We did say at the when we spoke last week that we didn't think there was any end point to this saga, and it looks even more so now. I mean, we've seen, obviously, yesterday the long course was the latest. That caused a bit of controversy, which we'll come on to later, but more and more is being postponed, and there's no rescheduled date at the moment. I see since we last met, of course, football now, we spoke about that nationally, has scrapped that plan to meet again on April the 30th almost and see if they can go from there. So at the moment, you know, we're in lockdown. There's no point envisaging or trying to guess when we're going to come out of it, and sport, society and everything is just being severely affected, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I read your article on the on Twitter on the Western Telegraph, which was quite good and quite fitting, really, and a bit of a wake-up call to a few people, I'd have thought. Right.
I think sport and society has got to wake up. You know, you still get the underlying impression here is that people still don't realise what pandemic we're in. You know, and there's still people asking questions that relate to the next few weeks. You know, and I think everyone has to adapt now, and everyone's got to come to terms with the realisation that nothing is going to get back to normal anytime soon. Yeah.
In that summary there, were you talking about President Trump, were you, that he needs to wake up and see reality?
It doesn't help, does it? I mean, I think the irony when we're talking about the leader of the free world, you know, a lot of people would disregard President Trump's statements, you know, but things like, on a serious note, things like him saying America will be back to normal by Easter is obviously complete rubbish. On a more local scale, again, this is something I touched upon in the week, Southampton Football Club coming out and saying they thought football could restart during the pandemic behind closed doors because it would give everyone a lift. Just completely unrealistic statements. You know, I think it really is time. This has got to hit home to everyone, and we've got to get real.
And how's it going with you? What have you been doing with yourself?
Well, like yourself, I imagine, Fintan, and everyone else, you have to adapt, don't you? You know, at the moment, we can't run the normal service with the paper. You can't print results and fixtures and so on. Have been doing a few over-the-phone interviews. We've got to look into the archives. We've dug out a few pictures from the old boxes, you know, which people do like to see. They like seeing old pictures of themselves and guessing and putting names to old faces and things like that. So it's not easy, I'm not going to lie. We haven't got anywhere near the same content we had before, but we've just got to keep adapting and trying to act as a sports and a news service to everyone, which things are still happening at the moment. You still got, obviously, the long course weekend maybe did us a favour yesterday in that they drummed up a bit of news and reaction, maybe not in the way they'd like to, but at the moment, when you've still got things being rescheduled and organisers still coming out with statements, there's still enough to go on, but as the weeks go by, we'll be deeper and deeper into the archives, that's for sure.
All right, no worries. Well, all right, we've actually got a guest on this week, which is a local girl from Solva, Kreisgolchwe, Sarah Thomas. Sarah was obviously in school with me, year below me. Very, very good swimmer as a youngster, and she's got.
Taught me swimming, actually.
Did she? Oh, she's gone back into later in life into sort of competing. I think Ironman was her big goal for this year, and doing a lot of charity work. So I'm obviously not going to steal her thunder, but we'll get her on, and it's quite topical at the moment to see how she's handling with Ironman and everything else, and just have a chat with her. So bear with us, and we'll give her a call. Hello. You alright, Sarah?
Hello. You okay?
Yeah, good. Right. Obviously, what's that? It's a bit weird.
I've had too many in my bedroom for a while.
Right. What we'll
we're all adapting, Sarah, at the moment.
Yeah. What we right. I'll do an official hello to you now, right? Just All right, so welcome to the three-way podcast. I've got to say, this is the first time I've had a three-way on WhatsApp. We were wondering, could it be done? But Fraser said to me he does it all the time, so here we are now, right? We're ready, and I couldn't think of a better person to ask than Sarah Thomas, all the way from Christgård. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, how are you? You alright, boys?
Yes.
Welcome, Sarah. Yeah, good.
Fraser was just telling us before we got you on that you actually taught him how to swim.
I did.
Yeah.
And his brother, all those years ago in St David's swimming pool.
That's
That
right.
was a long time ago. When today was in a swimming pool, yeah.
Because you were a couple of years older than me in school, weren't you, Sarah?
No, I recollect that you're a lot older than me, Finn, to be honest.
Oh, so I seem to remember. I thought you were a bit older.
No, that was my sister.
Oh, right. So, right. Well, thank you for coming on, right, and for giving up your time. I know we're all extremely busy at the moment, aren't we? In our lockdowns. So, how is it going for you?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's been a bit difficult. We had one of the boys that was stuck in Germany on an internship, so that's been a bit worrying. The other two came home, just a bit, concerned with work, but working from home at the moment, and we managed to get Lewis home yesterday, so we're all a bit happier now.
Oh, that's all right. That must have been a bit of a worry, actually.
Yeah, it's been, when they're so far away and you can't do anything or get to them, then, it was a bit frightening, but glad he's home.
Yeah, and obviously your better half, Ivan, is a paramedic.
He is indeed, yeah.
So I bet he's in the thick of it. How's he getting on?
Well, Ivan just takes everything as it comes, really. He's got his suit and he's got his mask, and just happy to go in and help, and going in on overtime to help where he's needed.
Oh, all right. Well, all the best to him. All right, what we've got made to talk about. Obviously, we could talk all day about COVID-19, right? But we're not experts, so we're actually here to talk about sort of the events and everything. And when myself and Fraser sort of set this up, we had a list of people we wanted to interview, and you were high on our list. Obviously, number one, first guest we've had on. All right, but just because of your story, really, you started off as a swimmer in school. Took a few years out, maybe, from doing anything, and then come back. Just wanted to see, what sort of standards you get to in school, and what was your sort of regime like that? Because we've talked about swimming and the virus and how it's going to hit the swimming clubs at the moment, and you've got a small window to progress as a child. We talked about that last week. So, just your perspective on that, really.
Well, for me, I was swimming, in the olden days, so to speak. I was swimming up to 5 times a week, just to get the training in. I was at decent standard, really. I trained and I swam for Tenby, so that was quite difficult to get down there and do all my hours down there. But it's difficult for children nowadays. They're expected to do huge amount of hours. They can do some work dry side and resistant bands or whatever, but it's really going to hit them not being able to get in the water. The sea is too cold yet to get in there, and we're not supposed to drive there now, are we? So it's swimming is going to be really difficult to be able to continue to stay at that level, I think.
It's the concern, Sarah. I mean, Fintan touched on this last week. Obviously, the pools are closed. You just re-emphasised there that there's only so much a swimmer can do without getting in the pool. The real training takes place in the water, obviously. It's a small window almost when you're young swimming. It's not a sport where people tend to, unless they go to the real top, but certainly locally, be at the top for too long. Almost you see a lot of youngsters, they excel in primary school, they excel in secondary school, and by the time they're 17, 18, if they're not maybe at top level then, they've almost missed the window. It's the concern now that a lot of these youngsters who are maybe 9, 10, 11 in elite squads, who have been, as you'll be aware of, parents who are taking them to training 5 times a week, 6 a.m. in the morning. Some of them, these elite sessions are taking place. It's a concern now that they'll miss their chance with things like national championships being cancelled and so on, that by the time they do get back to it, it'll almost be too late.
Well, there's 2 sides to the argument, I think. I know that the Pembrokeshire squad, they're really working hard to do these interactive sessions with the clubs and especially their elite swimmers. They're working really hard to keep as much focus on development as they can. There's obviously going to be some that are going to miss out, who are not going to be as focused to keep the work going. And it's it is the same for everybody. And I think it's going to be a real challenge to get back in the water for some of them. You've lost. It's going to be a long period of time before they get to any sort of standard again. To get back in the water and get training, get the level of training up again. You see these children that are back and forth hours in the pool, some of them. But then again, I've seen from the other side that you see a group of people that actually might not have quite made it when they were younger, but coming through now post 18 in the masters side of swimming, massive influx of swimmers in masters now. So you can get into masters post 18, 25. So there's always a chance to get back, but this is going to be a real challenge for those younger swimmers. As you say, it's a small window, and there's big expectation on some of these PEM swimmers. They're doing extremely well in the bigger picture and nationally. So it's going to be wait and see. This, I don't think there's any right answer.
Are you? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, are you still swimming in any masters? Did you compete at all now in the pool?
Yeah, well, I did do last year. I haven't really done much this year. But yeah, so we had our first PEMS relay team that took place in the Masters Long Course last year. So I was part of that. But and it's really interesting to go. They get more and more difficult to get into now because of so many more people, especially sort of the English swimmers are coming down to do the Welsh competition. So you have to really sort of book out for that really early. So yeah, it's really good. It's really good fun.
Oh, yeah. Good. All right, Fraser.
No, I was just going to say, just talking about them, whether you're a master or a junior coming through, or an elite swimmer or what have you, how much quality work or essential work can you get done outside of a swimming pool? I know we've all got our separate conditioning routines, but how much can you actually do that is going to benefit you in swimming, so to speak?
I think strength-wise, you can always improve. You've got those resistance bands that you can work on a certain amount of technique, but nothing can replicate the water. You might have access to one of those, those pools that you can do certain drills in, but nothing can replicate the pool, and not even the sea. That's a completely different entity. At the end of the day, you've got to get in the water and put the hours in there.
Yeah, just going back to you as personally, obviously you've touched on it there that as a youngster you'd have been training 5 times a day down to Tenby pool and loads of travelling around the place, and then you sort of disappeared perhaps from the competing world. And if I go back to about 5-6 years ago, you would have. When we started doing our little challenges and stuff, you started helping out, marshalling, which was very appreciated. But then you also got the bug and started doing these things yourself. So what led you to take the plunge and start sort of competing in events and taking on things?
Me personally, I'm somebody that really wants to just help people. I'm not about so helping and volunteering and watching what other people can achieve is much more enjoyable for me than doing it myself. What happened was you started doing, the year I was 40, not that long ago, you did those challenges a month, one challenge every month, starting with the Blue Lagoon swim in January.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to set myself a challenge to do those really. And then, and then the children started going off to university. Needed to sort of another sort of challenge and have a focus for to take my mind off them not being here, and Ivan bought me a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking go to the pub, go to the cinema. I got a bike, so.
I was going to say something there, but I won't say it because.
Thank you. So that was it really. So thanks to you, thanks to helping with the volunteers and things, because you just sort of see people and they're like, no, you can do it, and not the most confident of people. So it was just a case of, okay, yeah, perhaps I can do it, and it was really nice. It's a nice informal way to get started really, and challenge myself in areas that I didn't think, I'm only used to the water. So yeah.
Once you started doing it, Sarah, this is something I felt. So I don't know if you shared the same thing. Once you started doing it, did you regret maybe missed years having not got into it anymore?
Yeah, but again, it's not. You always think like that, don't you? But for me, I get much more enjoyment watching somebody else do it, and my focus is always my children. So I've really enjoyed seeing them progress and just helping them out. And I don't think regret is something. Yeah, I wish I'd have perhaps done something different along the way, but no.
It's not something eating away at you.
Yeah, no, I just think, well, I've done my best for the children to do what they wanted to do and explore the activities that they've done well in and whatever. And yeah, they're really my focus, to be honest.
What you touched on something here, Sarah. You said about confidence. You mentioned that, and this is something that annoys me with both of you two, actually, right? Other different sort of thing is. Whereas someone like myself now, right, I would have a go at anything, and even if I came last, and I'd have utter belief that if someone said, "Now we're going to the North Pole," I'd have utter belief I could get there without training, but I'd probably fail, and not do it. But you two are quite talented, but it's the confidence. I know, like with you, Sarah, you would say, I don't want to take part in that and swim to the edge. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this, or I need to practice a bit more. And you'd be a bit nervous about it, and I'd think, oh my God, you've got so much talent. You should be a bit more confident with it. And same with Fraser, on the rugby field, as many tries as he scored and everything, I'd sort of see him and I'd say, when I was coaching there, and you'd always teach, pass the ball would beat man, ball would beat man. When Fraser got, I'd say, don't pass it, just run. And then he'd pass it to someone, you think, no, back yourself, and, show a bit more confidence. And, I was thinking this when I was, and both of you have been here, very similar, that I don't think you quite backed yourself enough. Is that a fair point, would you say, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't, you can't, and honestly, you can't do much about it. I can do a sportif or something that is not competition. It's just there to enjoy, and I will have to be physically sick before I feel good about going to do it. On the morning of the competition, and that's just how it is. And once I've been, and then it's fine then.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's really sad, and it's. I just hope I haven't passed it on to my children. That's the only thing. It's yeah. No,
well, I mean, it's all different, but it's just because I've often said to you, that you've got the talent there, and you could do. You do well, and you've overcome that, that's a massive hurdle, I suppose, is getting to the start line and doing it. If that's how you're feeling before, just getting there and competing is a massive thing. I don't know what you phrase on that point, but I do sometimes that, we used to be on the touchline and say, don't get me wrong, you did score like in a couple of games 6 and 5 tries, like, so obviously you you did back yourself, but it's like don't pass it.
I mean, that's interesting. That's never been put to me before in a rugby sense. I certainly agree with it in the endurance side and the events thing. What you say, I think I like to be able to compete as best I can and compete to win things almost. To the point where at the moment, for example, I started off doing, as you know, 10Ks when I first decided to get into the endurance thing. Once I realised I could compete in them and won a couple of races or came close in a couple of races as well, then all of a sudden, that, as far as I was concerned, that was my niche. And I've almost been, if I'm brutally honest, there's been a reluctance to try anything above a 10K since, because I know in a 10K race I'm always going to be up there. I know if I was to try a half marathon tomorrow, I wouldn't be up there. I'd probably be right down there. It's probably getting over that barrier of going to a start line of a race, which you're not necessarily going to win or be high up there in, and might even be way down, but doing it, getting over the barrier and then improving in it, I guess. So I've never had that put to me in a rugby sense. It's interesting. So I'm going to go away and think about that next week.
Hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to shatter you or anything.
In terms of events I've been entering, no, I'd say, yeah, I'd be honest to say that does ring true. I do have a bit of a reluctance to enter events which take me way out of my comfort zone. For example, triathlons or cycling or swimming, race cycling or swimming, I've always been competent in without being particularly strong, which is probably why I've leaned towards the running side of things, where I know I can be up there and compete. So no, it's a fair call. But I'll get back to you on the rugby one.
Well, you did say once that you fell asleep in my team talk once in the changing room, so I'm just getting you back, really. Right. Talking about going long, going big, you've signed up for Ironman, have you, Sarah?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
First of all, before we get on to how that's going and in the current climate, what motivated you to sign up for Ironman? What's your goal, and what's driving you for the training and getting out there and doing it?
Well, as you probably know, I for several years now I've been helping with Belle's story for lovely little Belle Curran, who sadly is no longer with us. And we've done, talking about your running, Fraser, we've done a couple of the Cardiff half. I have never run really before, doing a couple of those for Belle. And it's amazing when you've got a beautiful little girl like her who really needed help and support to drive you really to get really out of your comfort zone. And and then we did with Team Kim Ice. They've been really helpful, and we did the long cycle ride to Canterbury.
Yeah, that's right.
And then again, the house was empty. Yeah. And thought I'd set a challenge, and because we lost Belle last year. Yeah. Just thought, right, okay.
I'm interested in this the psychological side of this, Sarah, because often when if I'm struggling in a race or a run or something, I often tell myself hypothetical things almost to try and push myself along. It sound ridiculous things. I'll say things, like my kids will be disappointed or be upset at me now if I don't get under this time, or just something like that. Or even there's even times when I've been doing a certain distance, maybe a 10k, and I deliberately haven't left until 45 minutes before Keely has to leave for work, because I know then I've got no choice but to push myself to be under 45 minutes. But in your case, obviously, you've got something so sincere, it's obviously close to your heart, and Bella, who sadly passed away. When you're in an event, I remember seeing you in Broadhaven when you're running for that cause as well. How much does it drive you when you're hurting and when you're pushing yourself to carry on, and we all have those moments where we wonder if we can keep going? How much does that actually serve as motivation? I'm talking before now. I'm not talking before in the build-up. I'm talking when you're actually hurting during the run, or whether it be cycle or swim or what have you. Yeah,
for me, I just feel it with me, really. And I know what you mean about your children. That has kept me in the water on many occasions, not letting my children down. Belle, she was so inspiring. She fought so hard. And she just comes back, and you're just like, no. And I just start talking to her, and she's really on my shoulder. I've been, doing little runs or big runs, and I think, right, oh God, I could really do with walking now or whatever. And no, she's there, and I just feel her in my heart. And the drive it's so powerful, just to keep going, and there's just. I could give you so many examples when she's been there to help, and
that was a really sad time, and and I think it touched the whole county, even people who wouldn't have known her, because there was a lot of charity work done, a lot of awareness brought out by people like yourselves and the others involved in the charity, and you know, and you when you see all that, it is inspiring. You know, even like for people who wouldn't have known her or known the family or anything, but when you see what you guys were doing and seeing, you know, her and hearing the story, it is inspiring to do that, and it does give people a kick up the backside sometimes when you're feeling sorry for yourself or something. You see things like that, so I'd imagine for you being close in the midst of it, like, you know, it's even harder, but you know, it's good work, it's great work, like, you know, and you'd be yeah.
Try and take the positives from it as well, you know. I mean, Belle never once sat moping. You know, she was always happy, always wanting to, you know, she always had a plan up her sleeve. She always wanted to, you know, get out there and do what she could and get, you know, spread the word of organ donation or just do as many physical things, you know, Girl Guides and things like that. So she was never one to be negative. So that sort of really pushes you forward as well. So, well, Belle wouldn't have sat here and you know, she had every reason to, or more reason than most, to just sort of be, you know, upset or, and you just sort of think to yourself, well, gosh, no, you know.
And then obviously the fundraising side, you guys have raised a lot of money for good causes since Bella's death, as right in saying as well. Is that also a motivating factor, the fact that, you know, people have maybe sponsored you to do something, put so much money towards a good cause to do it? Does that give you an extra responsibility to drive on as well?
Yeah, it does. I don't, you know that money is going to go to such an amazing cause, and especially now, you know, the money is going to still children that have got life-limiting diseases and issues. So, yeah, it does. You know, hopefully, if, you know, everything goes to plan in the next month or so, I will be hopefully starting to fundraise for the Ironman, and hopefully that money will go to a good cause and raise awareness really of these different, you know, problems and organ donation especially.
Yeah, I think someone once said, going on obviously that you've mentioned just the Ironman and what's going to happen, you know, what are your views on that? And also, you know, there's a big uncertainty over it, obviously. How do you, and this is a critical training point, how do you keep motivating yourself to train with the ever, you know, the dark cloud above us that it may not happen? You know, what's your views on that?
Well, I'm just keeping going on the premise that it will happen, and until I'm told otherwise. Obviously, Activity Wales had a big list of things that changes that are happening over the next couple of months that will affect my training. Bearing in mind, I've never done a triathlon. I was really hoping to do the one in Fishguard beforehand, so fingers crossed that goes ahead. And then, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens in September. Motivation, again, is Belle. My family are amazing. I've got my running buddy, I've got biking buddies if I want them, and then I've got my daughter that just makes me smile every day and picks me up when I'm not feeling great. So, yeah, motivation is, you know, it's hard, and it's hard for everybody.
Yeah.
There's some brilliant things online, you know, lots of different coaches are doing sessions and whatever online that you can do, you know, strength and conditioning and whatever, but just trying to do what I can, turboing, and then...
Sarah, you say you're preparing as normal, but obviously it's not a normal training for any of us at the moment. So how are you adapting? Because obviously the limited to one outdoor excursion for exercise a day and so on. How are you training at the moment?
Yeah, so swimming's gone out the window. You know, I'm just trying to use those resistance bands for that, just to try and do some dry side stuff. Yeah, I'm trending to turbo. I'm concerned about going out on the roads, just in case I get injured or whatever, and then just limiting myself to running out on the roads. Luckily, I live in the back of Beyond. They don't generally see anybody, and I can pretty much get out for miles and miles without even hitting a home. So, you know, that's quite fortunate. But no, it is difficult. You know, it's and pretty frightening actually. You know, to be fair as well.
I mean, you're.
Organisers, have they made any kind of contact with athletes yet to give any kind of indication when they might make a decision, or are you at the moment just still waiting?
Is that Ironman? Sorry.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing from Ironman at all as of yet. No contact from them. I suppose that for them they've still got quite a long time. I know they've got quite. There's Ireland coming up, isn't there? Quite soon. But Activity Wales, they're the only contact that I had yesterday.
And were you in the long course?
No, I wasn't going to do long course. I was going to do the Fishguard Triathlon.
Right.
There's been a lot of upset about the long course.
Well, they've helped us know Newsweek.
we had issues with long course at Mallorca last year, which was so there's no surprise really for us with Activity Wales. You know, in Fishguard they've given no option but to...
Don't beat around the bush now, Sarah. Say what you mean, right?
Slightly. So, I mean, the one in Fishguard now is going to be 5 weeks out from Ironman, so that's, you know, that's pretty close. And long courses, well, yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it is difficult. I wouldn't, you know, being an organiser myself and having to cancel everything we've done, it's or postpone it. It's really difficult, you know. And I'm not going to personally. I can't really comment on that on everything, but it's a massive.
I can weigh in, yeah. I think, you know, as Fintan, we're a tester, and we say it's on a serious note because, you know, you've already had the issues this year with first the storms and now this. You know, events are going to be cancelled, and there needs to be give and take on both sides. You know, I do personally understand why you can't offer a full 100% refund to everyone straight up, but I think to only offer a 50% one and give no option whatsoever to defer is a massive own goal. And I hope the feedback he's had, and some of it's been pretty savage, I hope the organisers take note of that. And I like to think it's not too late for them to do the right thing here, because, you know, there's a lot of people, whether it be in sport or society, who are going to come out of this situation remembering how they were treated by bosses. Employers are going to have it, you know, athletes are going to have it, that sort of thing. And I think they think they've underestimated how long the ill feeling will carry on here, because there's a lot of athletes, a lot who are using long course to prepare for Ironman, actually, Sarah, who are feeling pretty cheated out of money now. And this is the worst possible time to be seen to cheating people out of money. So I like to think it's not too late for Activity Events Wales and the long course organisers to get together and try and rectify this, because I think the bad feeling will run and run, and I think it'll have a profound effect on long course entries for years to come. I think people are already stating they will enter it again, you know, and nobody wants to see that, because it is a good event, and it does serve a very important purpose for people preparing for Ironman, you know.
I completely agree. I mean, for years they've got away with lots of discrepancies or you know, their own. And
these are all coming to light now.
I think so, and the thing is, there's very limited activities to be done around, especially around Tenby. You know, that the option to go out and swim the pretty similar course to the Ironman, even if you don't have, you know, no desire to do Ironman, to go out and try and emulate what they do on that day. You know, it is, you know, it's financially for a lot of people, it's a big burden to put all that money in. You know, it's not a cheap event, and it's not only about just going to the event, it's preparing for it. I just think it's they haven't thought of the bigger picture. You know, these.
It is a difficult. I mean, on the financial thing, I mean, if I just look at what you know, how we've done things, or what we're doing is we're saying to people, you can defer to next year if we're postponing it, or you can, you know, some dates we've looked at future dates, you postpone to next year. What we said with refunds at the moment, we're not issuing refunds at the moment, but if things change with the government and assistance, and we see where we are financially, you know, we can possibly do that. That's something we will look at. The vast majority of people have said, you know, we'll just have a full defer to next year, you know, because they want to do the event. And I mean, the problem with that from a business point of view is that, you know, we are a business now. You know, we've got people we employ and you know, bills we've got to pay, is that we've got no cash flow for the winter then, because all the cash flow comes in with all the people signing up over December, you know, January, February for the events. So it is a worry. You know, you have to look at that and think, oh, it's a worry. But then, you know, it's hard times for everyone, and you're just going to have to manage it. You know, we're going to have to manage it. We're going to have to do the right thing by people and say either full, you know, deferral to next year. If the government do come out with what they're promising and there's support there, and they'll cover costs of things we've lost, and people say they do want a refund, we'll give a refund. But we're talking about our events, most of them are 30, 40 quid. You know, it's a bit different when you're paying, like, perhaps, you know, for an Ironman or a long course where you're paying a couple of £100, you know. So it's, you know, people are perhaps willing a bit more to write off 30 quid or 35 quid, you know, for an event than they would be for a massive thing. And if they know they can do it again, I mean, it's not easy, and it is hard. You know, and you know, for them, you know, I mean, for people, if they wanted like £30 back off us, well, they might just see it as £30. But if you've got like, you know, 3,000 people in all these events over the whole year, and we have to give it all back, that's a hell of a lot of money. Like, you know, when you've already got running costs. Yeah, difficult one, but.
I think regardless, there's probably a way of handling things. They've handled it wrongly. I think everyone's in agreement about that. You know, I think people do understand it. It's not always as simplistic as it appears, but there is a way of handling things, and they've got this badly wrong.
Yeah, but touching on what you're saying, getting back to the event, Sarah, you know, your training and everything. I mean, you are obviously a swimmer, so. You know, I mean, you could be out of the water between now and then, and it wouldn't take you too long to get back in. Yes, your time might not be as what you wanted, but you would get around that Ironman swim. You know, but it's a big issue for a lot of people. I mean, I've had people contact me about, you know, the Solver swim and things like that, and they're worried that they just can't get any training in. And swimming is a psychological barrier. That's for people who are doing Ironman, who maybe cyclists or runners haven't really swam. They're going to be really struggling.
Yeah, I've never seen it as a strength, and I know that's going to sound really silly. Whenever I've thought of a triathlon, I think, oh my gosh, that's I can get out of the water and then everything goes downhill. But for a lot of people, it is just getting out of the water. And at least, I mean, I know a couple of people that are just like, you know, if they can't get in the water now, and they need technique work, which is, you know, you can only really do, you know, getting that catch, getting the, you know, the fine details of that swim, and you can only get that in the water. So yeah, it is a big concern for, you know, for quite a few people. You know, you just sort of build in the pool, do that over the winter, then you get a bit of strength in the pool, and now, you know, you're building to get into the sea, which, you know, that's out of the question at the moment, and I can't see any time near in the future that we're going to get out there. I
mean, it's a massive shock for people who've spent the whole winter swimming in a pool, that they come down and swim in the sea, and they don't realise that, you know, you have a little bit of a chop, even if it's the smallest bit, you know, and it's in your face, or a bit of side wind, and, you know, I mean, people are shocked with that. So without that, you know, I'm getting used to that on a big event where you've got a lot of people mingling. It's you know, it's a real baptism of fire if that's going to be your first sort of outing.
No, I was just going to come on to a personal example there, actually. What you told, I remember when Fintan, remember it well, when I was going through the list of Commonwealth Games challenges as part of a feature for the paper, and Fintan set me up a sprint triathlon, MUK or Man Up UK it was at the time, but we won't get into that now, around Solver. And I'd never swam in the sea before, and I always thought as a competent swimmer I could do a lot of lengths in the pool in the morning, and we did what I believe at the time, I think it was a 0.6 mile, which was obviously only half the distance you're doing for Ironman. I remember coming out of Solver Harbour onto the steps there and coming, and I'd never felt such jelly in my legs, you know. I remember wobbling, you know, and I got hit by Jack Jones in the Brawling Beret quite a few times in the head, and I never experienced jelly legs like coming out of the sea. And it wasn't a particularly quick swim, if I remember. Finn, we paced it quite well.
We did, yeah.
And I think back to that, and I think if inexperienced sea swimmers are going to be tackling Ironman, which I believe 2.4 miles, swim in conditions which are notoriously choppy and windy and Sarah, I'm not trying to scare you now, and difficult.
I don't mind a bit of chop.
I just think it's almost inconceivable how some people are going to be able to finish, which raises the next question: do you want an event, even if, and it's a massive if, as we keep going back to, if everything's cleared up by September, do organisers want an event where the vast majority of the 2,500 athletes are going to be underprepared?
Scary, isn't it? It, you know, ultimately in the water, you know, you don't want, you know, you do see some of those swimmers that don't get out of the water. Perfect conditions last year and likely to have the same this year. You know, the risk is, I think even just the swim is a huge risk for lots of people.
Do you remember we went out swimming in Solva?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, you think I can swim in the pool.
Yeah.
But I'm not an open water swimmer. And but I have to say, it was so rough. I could hardly see. You were paddling next to me, and I could hardly see you.
That was rough. Yeah. It won't be as bad as that on Ironman.
I know, but I like that. Because it gives you something to think about. You know, and then it does sort of It's,
we went out on the Solva swim to the edge, have a little bit of the course. I went out in the kayak, and Sarah was swimming. And it was quite choppy, and coming back in between Black Rock and the mainland, it was we had to pick our window, like, you know. Yeah. And Sarah's just her head was bobbing up and down. Perfectly safe.
And of course, with Ironman, you've got the bodies next to you to contest with as well, or under or over you, from what a lot of testimonies have been.
So if worst case scenario, Ironman is put on the back burner, and you probably, I mean, I can't see him doing a later date, because if it's not ready for September, I can't see him fitting it in this year, and it may be till next year. Would you just defer it if they give you that option, and do it next year, or, you know, would you think the motivation, like, this is my moment, or?
It's such a huge commitment. I mean, I do a couple of, you know, days a week exercise. I say a couple of days. I do exercise quite a few days in the week before doing this, different sessions and whatever. But this is something else. This is you know, major commitment. I take my hat off to people that do it year on year, and it's something I'd have to discuss with my family. To be fair, they'd be behind me 100%, and I speak with Stella about it as well. There's always an end goal. So, in my heart, I would say I would have to do it. Whether or not I would do it in Wales and have to wait that long to do it again, I don't know. I'm in my head, I'm just thinking it will be going ahead. I will do my best to get round and to do my best to finish. Until Ironman tell me something else, that's what I'm going with.
All right.
So if you do it, will you be wearing the same inflatable suit you wore when you were fundraising for Bella in Broadhaven?
Oh my goodness.
That could bring about some issues.
I think so. If we get a bit of wind, I've got a few problems.
I was relieved that day when I got back and I saw on the Facebook photos that you crossed the finish line.
I wasn't that much slower than the year before, though. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, that was brilliant. Actually, that was a really good day, and I got a nice bottle of champagne for doing that. So that was
best dressed, I don't think Ironman has best dressed, unfortunately, but.
Oh, you were gone. I didn't see you for dusk. I thought you could have done another lap. Actually.
You know, we've got to keep busy now with this sort of self-isolation period. And I was talking yesterday about I may try to learn a language. And I was thinking I might try and learn Welsh, Sarah. So I was thinking you could keep yourself busy now at a half an hour Welsh lessons in the morning. Now I've discovered this. You were a Welsh teacher, weren't you? Or are you still a Welsh teacher?
I am. So I currently work for Sport Pembrokeshire, and I go into schools and I teach PE through the medium of Welsh, and I also do some private tutoring for some children that are in a Welsh school. Then.
Ah, so we could log in every morning and go. I go, bore da, Mrs. Thomas.
Yeah, bore da.
Yeah.
Ydych chi heddiw?
Oh, I always think of speaking Welsh when I see you, so I was thinking, siarad Cymraeg, Fraser?
Dyma bach, friend. Dyma bach.
Dyma bach.
No, on a serious note there, I was very good in primary school because I went to Croes Coch, and obviously it was drummed into you, and I managed to keep it through secondary school, and then I went to university, and the deeper I went into university, the less I used it, to be honest, to the point where I'm just about competent now, but I wouldn't be able to write an essay in it, put it that way, but I can get by. But I would, my own kids are starting to learn bits now, so bits of it are coming back to me, but I wish, it was something which I wish I could do fluently, genuinely.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll come back to you though, Fraser, it really will.
Yeah.
Well.
Bit like Sarah's swimming, it'll come back to you.
Just really help, when I've done the volunteering.
Yeah.
A lot of volunteers, they don't always expect, lots of the competitors, they don't expect the volunteers to be Welsh speaking and whatever, and they do really enjoy it if they can converse in Welsh. It sort of almost relaxes them sometimes to, when they're anxious before the competition or as they're going around. That's what I found in some of your events, Fintan, that if you can chat to them in Welsh, then it almost sort of makes them feel, actually,
It's definitely been a good thing with us, because I know, like Rastewi Sand, especially the first few that we did, it was around St David's Day. We had a lot of sort of people from Wales come down to do it because it was the Welshness of it, So having people like yourself there, and I know out in the aid stations as well, like I've had feedback from other people working with you say, it's brilliant having Sarah there. She's speaking Welsh to people, and and so it is good. I mean, I'm obviously Irish, so that's my excuse. I always get my excuse in for not being able to speak the language. But
for Gaelic translation,
yeah, I do. When I have a few beers, I can speak it quite well. I think Welsh, but not. I was thinking I'm going to try and maybe learn a language, and I was I was thinking of Spanish and French and all things like that. But I said, no, I think I might try and learn Welsh.
Well, you can practice it then as well, can't you? There's plenty of places you can practice your Welsh.
There is, yeah.
All right. For any events team on a serious note, offering some kind of bilingual service or translation always looks good, always helps.
It does. Yeah.
Especially in this day and age, people do expect it, don't they, as well?
Yeah. I know we were talking about the name change from Muck and stuff like that, but I've noticed in the last few weeks there's been a lot less political correctness, and people aren't too bothered now with what's happening. It's just, is there an event on, is there this on, is there that on,
It's amazing when perspective kicks in, now the side issues get forgotten, don't they?
They do. Right, so is there anything else you want to add there, Sarah?
No.
No?
It's really odd that you've asked me. I do find that really odd, because I don't see myself as any sort of athlete or I don't see myself as a sports person, so to speak. I'm just see myself as a mum of active children who just sort of trying to stay active herself and grow old disgracefully, really.
Yeah, well, we're all doing that.
You are active, Sarah, and you're doing it at the moment, a good thing for a very good cause, and I hope you get the opportunity to do it in September, whether it be September 2020 or 2021. We'll wait and see at this point, and I'm sure Fintan will agree. We wish you all the luck with it.
Yeah, we do. And be confident.
I really appreciate that, I have to say.
Yeah, be confident, and you are, you are a sports person. You've got the talents there. I've seen it throughout, growing up and in later life as well. So just be confident in what you're doing, and you will smash it. I've got no doubt. So enjoy it.
Thank you. Appreciate that, gents. Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, catch you later. Hey, this is my first. We've actually got this up and running on a on WhatsApp. This is amazing. This technology is just blowing my mind. Like, you know, I just.
Annie's got lecturers coming out of her years. She's got, 4 or 5 people in a lecture there. I tell you, in the kitchen.
Yeah. I know we set up Skype yesterday, me and Fraser. We were setting it up, and I think Skype is so 90s or something because it just wasn't working. Then we just said, WhatsApp, straight, easiest way.
Yeah, Zoom seems to be the big thing, isn't it, for meetings?
Someone else said that to me, Zoom. I'm going to have a look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as straightforward, though, because you have to set up a group and you have to send a code to everybody, apparently.
That's getting complicated already, that is.
Let's not complicate things now. If we only just mastered this.
All right.
Hey. Sorry, I've been holding my phone, so it's been all going round. So you've seen my dog behind me and all sorts, so I do apologise.
No worries.
That's all right. No, it's all good. Hey, we'll catch you all later. All right, cheers. Bye. There we go. Fraser as our first guest on, local girl Sarah Thomas, who we both know well. I wish her all the well, really, in the Ironman. There's so many people like her at the moment who are just carrying on, hoping it's going to happen. And she touched on it there, really, that it's one of those things that if it's not on this year, all that training you've done now, you have to continue. It's not like you can say, I've done it now, I can stop and I'm prepared for next year. It's,
No, we touched on this last week, didn't we? I know we're talking a much bigger scale with the Olympics, but, you have that 4-year cycle. With Ironman, it's maybe only a 1-year cycle for some or two, but you gear it all towards that event, don't you? And there often can be such a feeling of emptiness when that doesn't go ahead. And then it's the motivation to think, God, I've done all this, I've peaked, I've been trained towards September, to then think, I've got to do this another 12 months, Some might be fine, some might get demotivated by it and so on, but, I hope not. And I think Sarah will do it regardless, to be honest. I think, she's a humble individual. She's looking to raise money for Bella. It was a very impressive thing, and I think she'll line up whatever happens.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, right, so next week back again, and
back again.
We'll get someone else. I don't know. Hopefully we'll.
We got plenty of time to make some phone calls, haven't we? So I'm sure we'll find someone.
Well, hopefully things haven't gone so bad that power goes down and there's giraffes and lions walking the streets. Like hopefully it doesn't quite get like that. So yeah, we'll.
Not changing a week though.
You never know. All right, so.
All right.
Yeah, well, leave that there.